Well, howdy everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talkin, Chute. Today on the show, we have one of the rising stars in bull riding and one of our endorsees, Mr. Lukasey Morris. Lukasey has been hitting the rodeo trail this summer and is working hard to make it back to his second National Finals rodeo. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I know you will too. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Rock and Roll Denim's 2023 Fall Collection. From sunset rides to bonfire nights, gear up for all of your fall adventures in style. Be sure to shop the collection at rockandrolldenim.com as well as your favorite Western retailer today. And now, without any further ado, this is Talkin' Chute. All right, we're back with another episode of Talkin' Chute. It's been a little bit of time. We've had some time off, but we finally got some really quality guests back in the studio. Today I'm sitting with professional bull rider Lukasey Morris. How's it going, man?
Oh, dude, it's good. How are you?
Doing good, brother. It's good to see you. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, it's been, Vegas maybe?
It was Vegas, or you pulled up at Calf Fry last year.
I did, yep.
Yeah, the Calf Fry Music Fest. We go out
sir.
there every year. We bring a trailer, give out T-shirts and all that fun stuff. And I was sitting there getting ready to go do a video feature. And then I just look around the corner and Lukasey and his whole posse just rolls up.
Right.
I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, I didn't really expect to see y'all guys there.
It was crazy. It's just one of those things that happens by chance. We that same trip, we also saw one of our fit models that we have in a bunch of our media and all the fit guides that we put out. She just happened to be there. We worked with her like 6 or 7 times, and she rolled up too. I'm like, this must be a really popular festival in the middle of nowhere.
Calf Fry is a big deal.
We have a lot of fun every time we go. It's a good time. Do you go to a lot of music fests?
Not really. That was probably the first time I've been to something like that. And I mean, since I went to Calf Fry when I was 14, and that was probably the last time I've been there.
Really? And where are you from?
I live in Union City. It's about 30 minutes straight west of Oklahoma City.
Gotcha. So you're not too far from the Metroplex and from most of the stuff in Oklahoma then anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty convenient. I mean, the town I live in is super, super small. And, I mean, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but in 25 minutes, 30 minutes, you can be in downtown Oklahoma City with everything you need. So it's pretty convenient.
That's kind of where I was when I grew up. I grew up in a small town called Sanger, Texas. It's
yeah.
about 20 minutes north of Denton, maybe 45 minutes an hour north of Dallas and Fort Worth and everything. And when I was a kid, I spent most of my time in Dallas. Any there's concerts coming through, or there's a big movie at the IMAX that we wanted to go see. But if we needed to go shop, we go to the Denton Mall, and
right.
they've got that rodeo out there, the Denton County Fair and Rodeo, and that was my first introduction into rodeo when I was a little kid, and we went every single year.
Dude, I've been there a couple times when I was younger, but I haven't been there in quite a bit. But
I gotcha.
It's pretty good, pretty cool little deal.
I gotcha. Well, man, it's so cool to have you on the team. I think we signed you. It's been over a year now for sure, right?
Yeah, it's been. I think it was the spring of last spring.
Right, because I know we got you before NFR.
Yep.
But we did that endorsee photo shoot. We made sure that we had you out there for the first one that we had with you. And that was a lot of fun at that little ranch. And that we do that every year. But it's just cool to get all the athletes together and just, see everybody, catch up with everybody, and make some media. So that was a lot of fun. Do you like doing photo shoots?
Oh, yeah. I learned a lesson though. I mean, that was my first time doing something like that, and they were having to do our makeup, making us look good. And I was mouthed off. I was like, "Do you want to do my hair too?" Yeah.
And they did
my hair.
And they did your hair.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, they take that pretty seriously, man. Especially, I mean, we hire a full hair and makeup team, and they're like, okay, we'll take care of you.
They had us in and out of there all day.
I love that. So what's been life with you, man? You've been rodeo, and I know you've been kind of off for a little bit with injuries and such like that.
Just been rodeoing lately. Went to Pendleton and then Othello, Washington, and that was my last one. And had to drive 24 hours home.
Yeah.
Just got home yesterday, and then tomorrow I'm going to Omaha. And then Saturday I'll be in Veneta, Oklahoma at some bull riding, so should be a good weekend.
You were telling me about Pendleton. You said that was the second time that you've been out there. How do you like Pendleton? How's that out there for you?
I like Pendleton, but Pendleton does not like me. My first year I went there last year, broke my nose, got knocked out, got a concussion, and then this year got a concussion, fell off. So Pendleton doesn't like me, but maybe next year it'd be the year.
So that was just a couple days ago that you got a concussion?
It's about a week ago, yeah.
Wow, man. How you feeling?
Just feeling good.
That's what I love about cowboys. It doesn't matter what kind of bruises and bumps you take. You're always going to show up and drive a couple hours to do a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So, rodeo life for you. When did it start? How old were you when you decided you want to start rodeoing?
About 3 or 4. Wow. My dad rode bulls, so growing up, I was straight around like our bucking cows and our bucking bulls, and then pictures on the wall were always bull riding pictures, and then going to rodeos with my dad because he used to judge bull ridings and stuff. So I mean, that was all I knew from a very, very young age. So I mean, I kind of feel like I was born to be a bull rider, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those sports to me that, I've been around sports my whole life. Rodeo is something I've been around for the last 4 or 5 years of my life that I've like studied intimately. And bull riding is just one of the sports that I'm just like, it takes so much courage, and it takes what I think, like you said, it takes a lifetime want to get on a bull and nod your head and go for 8 seconds. So you got it from your dad. Your dad, you said he was a bull rider as well?
Yep.
Yeah. How long did he ride for?
I think he rode for, I want to say like 25, 30 years.
Wow.
So he rode for quite a while.
Got you.
Which, I mean, I'm 21 and I've ridden bulls for 18 years already. So, I mean, there's no telling.
So I'm assuming that you were riding bulls when you were 3 or 4. I'm guessing they were mini bulls.
Oh, they were sheep. Started off on sheep, and then
Gotcha.
I'm gonna sound like an old man, but back in my day, they didn't have very many mini bulls. So I started on sheep, then slowly worked up to calves, and then steers, and made it here.
And when you started to really go after your pro card, was that in high school or was that in college?
It was my senior year in high school.
Senior year.
Is when I bought my permit.
Gotcha. Do you remember your first couple rodeos when you first bought your permit?
My very first PRCA rodeo ever, I got knocked out.
Oh no!
And then it took me probably 3 or 4 months of going to them before I finally got one under me. Then after that, it just slowly started coming together, and now I feel like I belong as a bull rider.
Yeah. And what's the feeling like when you do cover, when you do jump off that bull? It's been 8 seconds, you made it, and what's that feeling like for you?
It's something that you really can't describe unless you know how that feeling is. But I mean, I personally think it's the best feeling in the world, because that's what I dream of my whole life, is just being a bull rider. And then, I mean, it doesn't feel as good when you get bucked off, but when you stay on, it's just kind of a sense of accomplishment, really.
Gotcha. I mean, last year was your first NFR, right?
Yep.
What was that like for you in Vegas?
It was awesome. I mean, I did horrible. I got bucked off all of them, but it's more adds fuel to the fire.
Yeah. I mean, that's just motivation to keep on going and make the next one, right?
Yeah.
Vegas is one of those things I always ask people about. Everybody thinks of the Thomas and Mack and, nodding your head in that big arena and what that feels like. I mean, did you really feel kind of like almost an out-of-body experience when you're in that arena, or was it kind of business as usual?
When we first got there, it was way before the first round started, but we went there and we just walked up like on the main level, and I just looked at the arena, and it was just like it wasn't even like it wasn't even real, really. And then looking back now, like I can't remember that much of it just because it just like flew by so fast. But I mean, yeah, it's something that's definitely doesn't feel real when you're there.
Did your dad ever make the NFR?
No, sir.
Wow.
He won Cheyenne.
Wow, I mean I
don't even know what year, but
that's pretty crazy as well.
Yeah,
I'll look it up and I'll ding it in the podcast video what year you won.
Right.
So I mean, Vegas, Pendleton. What's your favorite rodeo that you ride in?
I kind of like a couple different rodeos for different reasons. I mean, like the smaller rodeos I like those because I mean it's just you and all your buddies, and like it's just having fun. And then I mean them big rodeos like Houston and Calgary. I mean you can't beat those either. So it's just kind of hard to tell. It kind of just depends on how I'm feeling, which one I like better, the big one or the small one.
Do you feel like there's more pressure when you're at a big one versus one of the small ones?
Yeah, I put pressure on myself at the bigger ones for sure. So I'm bad about that. I need to figure out how to change that and just go at every one the same.
I was going to ask you, how do you deal with that?
Honestly, I quite haven't figured that out yet. Sometimes I go at it good, and then sometimes I go at it and build it up way bigger than it is, and then end up psyching myself out.
Yeah. Well, the greatest thing about you, man, is that you are still so young. I mean, like you said, you've been doing this for 18 years, but as far as the sport goes, you still have such a long career ahead of you. And I mean, you see guys now that are still bull riding, and you see, someone like a JB Mooney that just retired, and he's been doing it for decades and decades. So you still have a long time and a lot of talent to spread with the world and to share at these rodeos, and I'm sure that's something that's really exciting for you.
Oh, I'm dang sure excited for it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna ride as long as JB did, but I mean, shoot, the only reason he retired is because he broke his neck.
Yeah.
But I mean, that sucked. I was there that night. And,
you were at that rodeo?
Yeah, I was at that rodeo when it happened, and it sucks. I feel bad for him for that because he wasn't ready to quit, but in my opinion, he's the greatest person to ever touch a bull rope. So
yeah.
to be able to say I rode with him, I mean, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That's like playing with Jordan,
Right.
but in a bull arena.
Yes.
So when it comes to that, injuries, bull riding is one of those sports where it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
It's something that happens. And doing a little research on you, I was doing a little research about your past and how you were coming up as a bull rider. And because you're young, there's still a lot of stuff left to go. But from the stuff that I was reading, it seems like you had a pretty significant injury back. Was it your senior year of high school?
It was my sophomore year.
Sophomore year. That was the one that was on the news and everything.
Yeah.
And that was just what 2020? So that was just a few years ago?
Yep, 3 years ago.
Wow. So what happened there?
It was in the short round at high school nationals. I got on a little white bull. He was in the gate to my hand, and then he kind of like, my feet came behind me. He just pulled me on his head, and then when he did, he just flipped me, bounced my head off the ground, and just knocked me out. And then had 2 brain bleeds, severe brain swelling, I think, and I was in ICU for like a week.
Man, that's intense.
Yeah.
What the fact that you still want to get back on a bull and keep doing it and do it professionally, that just shows a lot of courage, man. That shows your character and who you are.
I mean, which I knew that bull riding was dangerous from practically my whole life, because, I mean, my dad told me from when I told him I wanted to ride bulls, he was like, it's dangerous, and if you're not willing to put your life on the line every time you nod your head, then you don't need to do it. And I mean, when I was 8, I broke my leg for the first time, and by the time I was 13, I've already had 3 broken legs. So I mean, I've dealt with injuries for practically my whole career. So I wasn't a stranger to getting hurt.
Yeah. And how do you deal with that mentally? Like knowing, okay, I'm hurt. It's going to be some time off, but I got to psych myself up and get ready and be prepared for that next nod.
It just goes back to how bad you want it, I think. I mean, personally, ever since I started riding, my biggest goals were to make the NFR and to win Rookie of the Year and win the average and have a gold buckle. And I just don't really want to let the little version of me down. So I just got to keep pushing through it and just keep rolling.
Now, I'm assuming, because you are young, and I'm not trying to say that as an insult or anything, but being a young kid, you remember what it's like being a younger kid and looking up to all these bull riders at all these rodeos. Now you're the guy that gets to be in the chutes, that gets to travel across the country, have endorsees, and be at these rodeos and nod your head. What is it like looking down at those little kids that want to do the same thing that you do?
It's a pretty good feeling, because I mean, shoot, I ride with Stetson Wright and Roscoe and tons of other guys, and I've looked up to them since I was that little kid. Like, I remember being 5-6 years ago watching the NFR at home, watching all these guys that I'm riding against now, and it's just pretty special, and it makes you want to take the time and like hang out with those little kids and talk to them or even give them a glove or a back number and just help them, like just make them want it even more, I guess you should say.
All right, because you remember what it was like when somebody would do that for you.
Right.
Man, I think that's where it is. I mean, the coolest thing about the sport of rodeo that I've learned in my short time in the sport is that there's such a respect and there's such a romance, not just for the sport itself, because it's the same thing that's been going on for the last 100 years. Rodeo hasn't changed that much. I mean, there's more cameras, there's more fireworks, there's more lights, there's more festivals, there's a bigger production behind it. But when it comes to the 8 seconds on a bull, that really hasn't changed since it was first started.
Oh, I don't think it's ever going to change. It's been the same for 100 years, like you said, and it's going to be the same for the next 100 years. Oh. So, but I mean, the bulls are getting better and competition's getting harder. So, the rodeo world dang sure could use a couple more contestants. So, to be able to help little kids and encourage little kids to want to do it, it's pretty special.
Yeah. So, in your career, what would you say is like your shining moment? Like that one moment you're like, okay, I'm here. This is what I'm going to do forever.
Winning my first PRCA rodeo was pretty special. Or
where was that?
Hayesville, Kansas.
Gotcha.
I think it was either Hayesville or Abbeville. I get them two confused, but I was 85 points on a Jimmy Crothers bull, and after that I was like, man, maybe I do belong here. Yeah. And then when I won the Rookie of the Year, and I got the call that I made the finals, that was definitely the moment that I for sure knew that I belonged.
Yeah. Just last year, you got the NFR call.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember where you were and what you were doing when you got the call?
I was sitting at home.
Sitting at home?
Yep.
Getting ready. Mentally preparing for that phone call to come through.
Trying to, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, rodeo is one of those sports, man, that it takes a lot of grit, it takes a lot of determination and courage, and the best thing I think about me being to interact with all of our athletes that we have, and I'm so fortunate that I have this podcast and I'm with this company and we get access to all these athletes. It's like everybody is the same when it comes to that mentality. Like it's me versus me. Of course, like you're competing against other rodeo stars and other bull riders when you're doing it, but everybody has the same mentality. It's me versus me. And I think that's like a mental game. And, you know, you say that you're still working on that, but how do you feel about that when you're really like strapped into the bull, you're in the chute, and are you thinking it's me versus these other bull riders? Or are you straight up thinking, no, this is just me versus me?
I'm thinking like it's just me and the bull.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if they were just 91 points or if they were just a 0. Like my job is going to be the same no matter how anybody else does. And in order for me to win, I'm going to have to do my job. You know, so it doesn't matter if everybody else gets bucked off and I ride 7.9 seconds, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's still just got to do your job and everything else will take care of itself.
Now, are you a superstitious guy at all?
Yep.
So do you follow like the same like procedures and everything before you get in the chutes?
Yeah, I like to think so. Don't put my hat on the bed. Don't eat chicken. Don't wear yellow in the arena. And black cats crossing the road.
Yeah.
That's a no. Breaking mirrors. That's a no.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as like before I get on the bull, like I always put my left boot on first. Everything, put my left spur on first. Tie my left boot on first. Like everything that I do, I always put my jeans on my left leg first too. Like everything's tries to keep it the exact same. That way nothing ever changes.
I do the same thing when it comes to things like photo shoots are one of those things, especially as a video person, because you're dealing with so many different elements: motion, lighting, speed, sound, all of those things, and everything has to be perfectly right. The problem is a lot of times, I would say most times, sometimes you forget something, you mess something up. And it's just going to happen. It's just one of those things that's involved. But if I do every little thing before I actually have to hit go on that camera, if I do everything the exact same way, it leaves less room for error. Then I'm going to mess something up. Then I'm not going to get the shot. So I can relate to that pretty well. But you got to tell me about this chicken thing. Why no chicken?
Well, I mean, I kind of always heard, like, you are what you eat. So, like, don't, if you're going to, like, on game day, like, don't eat chicken because, like, you don't want to be a chicken. And I kind of halfway followed through with it. And then at high school nationals, the day I got hurt, the last thing I remember is leaving Chick-fil-A, headed to the arena. No. Ever since then, no.
No more chicken.
I won't get nowhere close to a chicken.
Do you have a meal that you like to eat before you go to a rodeo?
Not necessarily. Something light. I mean, not something that's going to be a lot. Like just something light, and then normally just go get dinner after the rodeo.
Yeah. So traveling is a big part of rodeo for everybody involved. Has that been an adjustment for you as far as like trying to go to all these rodeos, as many as you can to try to qualify? Like, what's that like for you?
I mean, on my permit, you know, like I didn't just straight up hit the road hard. Like I kind of just went to some circuit rodeos and kind of stayed close to the house. And then last year I was doing some rodeo, and last year I was Florida one night, California the next. And then, so I mean, last year it was different, but I mean, as far as this year goes, I've adjusted pretty well because I got used to it from last year. So
yeah, you have the same rig that you were traveling in last year?
Nope, I sold that to one of my buddies.
Gotcha.
And then me and a kid named Dalton Walling, we rodeoed together, and then he went home, and then me and one of my other buddies, Case Hit, we rodeoed together, and then he lacerated his spleen the same night that JB broke his neck, so he had to go. He flew home, and I was just in his car for the last couple weeks driving, and it kind of sucked being by myself, but it is what it is.
So you don't do a Capri camp or anything like that?
No, trying to get my money right, and I want to buy a van.
Gotcha.
Either a van or a motorhome, but the problem with a motorhome is you're going to have a couple guys go with you, so it's not so expensive. Sure.
Yeah, I had the Crawley Brothers on here a couple months ago, and one of their most famous stories that they always like to tell is how I think they were broken down somewhere. It was either New Mexico or Nevada or something like that, and they came across this lot. They were like, all right, we have to get a car. We just got to get something to get us to the next rodeo. We don't have very long. We got to get there. And so they went to this auto dealership called Barry's Cherries. And the first thing that Jacobs Crawley found was a conversion van. And he was like, all right, can we buy that? And they're like, well, that's kind of the owner's. We're going to have to ask him. And he was like, well, everything's for sale, right? He's like, it's a good point. So he slapped down his credit card. He bought that, and they rodeoed in that thing for like a year and then just drove it around with all their friends in Texas while they were graduating college together.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's the coolest part about rodeos, is stories like that. So a van for you, what kind of van would you get?
Like probably like I don't know, probably a Mercedes Sprinter van.
Nice.
I like those.
Yeah, we have one of those for if we have photo shoots or something like that. We'll take a bunch of racks of clothes and all the gear that we have, and we dress it all aside and put all of our logos and everything on it, and put, I think, Tough Cooper and Stevie Hillman are on the side of it. So, yeah, very familiar with those. Back when I was in the band days and the touring days, that's what a lot of bands chose to tour in, because you have those 2 rows of seats and then just cargo.
Yep.
All the way to the back.
They're handy.
They're very handy, and they're comfortable to ride in too. So when it comes to, let's say, traveling, I think we're getting back to the traveling conversation, but do you have a favorite place you like to stop and eat, or a favorite gas station you like to stop and get snacks at?
It kind of just depends really on like where you're at geographically. Like, cause some places up north they don't have down here, and I mean if I'm down here, Buc-ee's is top tier, but mainly just Love's, like just big truck stops, you know, cause they got everything. They got showers, they got real food, or close to real food anyways.
Close enough, yeah.
But like restaurant wise, I just kind of keep it plain and simple, like Chili's or Applebee's or a Texas Roadhouse.
Oh yeah, that's a staple. Oh, probably wouldn't be surprised, but you're not the first person to come in here and say that their favorite gas station when they're around is Buc-ee's.
They're the best.
We had a few of those. Yeah, I end up. What's that meme you see on TikTok and Twitter now? It's like you go into Buc-ee's, you buy beef jerky, fudge, a couple mugs of T-shirts, $4 worth of gas, and you just spent $304.
Yeah,
it's a little pricey, but I think it's worth it.
I mean, it's convenient. They got everything you need there.
Yeah, I agree. And the cleanest bathrooms too. But that's always a rule of traveling. I've always said, if you're traveling and you need to find a clean bathroom, truck stops, you can't beat them.
Yep.
Always. And Love's comes in key on that too.
Yeah.
For sure. So when you're not rodeoing, what do you like to do?
It's been so long since I haven't been rodeoing. I haven't really had time to do anything else, but occasionally we'll go golfing. Me and some buddies will go golfing.
Yeah.
I try to get better at playing the guitar every now and then.
Really?
That's about all, though.
Really?
Everything else is pretty much centered around bull riding.
How long have you been playing guitar?
About a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
I suck.
Nah, come on. Did you just keep one around the house just to mess around on?
Oh, yeah. And then Case, the boy that got hurt that we was rodeoing with, he's been trying to learn too lately. So me and him both sound like some cats on chalkboard.
Listen, man, when I first started when I was 13, I didn't sound so great, but it doesn't take long once you kind of get your way about you. The key is you just find a song that you like, learn that song, and then everything else kind of comes easy after that. Yeah. Who do you listen to? Cross
Canadian Ragweed.
Ooh, old school.
Turnpike.
Like it.
Man, I honestly listen to everything, though. Like, I'll listen to Bad Company all the way to rap songs to old rock songs to Led Zeppelin. So I kind of listen to everything.
Yeah. Do you keep a playlist when you're traveling?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of key, especially when you have to travel so far. Like, what was it, the 18 hours that you drove the other day?
It was 23.
Ooh.
And I did not enjoy a single bit of it.
That's a journey, my friend. That's a journey, especially when you go from someplace like you were saying the weather was kind of nice all the way back to Texas where the very beginning or middle, I guess you could say now, of September, it is still an inferno outside.
Yeah, I got out of the truck a while ago to come in here, and I was instantly just like, I don't want to be here. I just want to be where it's nice.
Yeah. I check the weather app every day, and a couple weeks ago I was literally counting down the days to where it wasn't going to hit 100. And just the fact that it's 92 degrees outside, that feels like an oasis versus what it was a month ago. When we had, I think one of the last days it was 100. It was 110 degrees outside. And we're doing photo shoots out there. I'm sweating. I have to bring a change of clothes just so I don't I'm not soaking wet the entire shoot because that gets uncomfortable too. It's intense, man. This heat down here, I don't know how anybody does it.
It's crazy to me how animals can do it, honestly.
Yeah, especially ones who have coats of fur.
Right.
How? It makes no sense to me.
I'm not a scientist.
I'm not either, man. So, what are your goals for this year, man?
Definitely, I would like to make the finals again. Top 5 in the world, win the average, and hopefully that might get me a gold buckle as well.
Yeah. Is the NFR gold buckle kind of calling your name?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't get out of this podcast telling you remind me of somebody. He's on our team. He's on your team. You remind me a lot of Jess Pope.
I try. I like Jess a lot.
He's a good dude.
I've known Jess since I was riding sheep. He'd have been a little bit older than me, but he has a little brother, Ty Pope.
That's right.
And Ty, he rides bareback horses now, but he used to ride bulls. So I've known the Pope boys, my whole life. So
yeah,
I like them boys a lot.
I don't know. There's just something about you and your determination and the way that you want to keep pushing forward it reminds me a lot of him. And the cool thing about him is I remember when we signed him, when, I think it was his first NFR when we first signed him. And then, getting to see him win a world title, that just, to me, that was a full circle moment. That's one of the first full circle moments in this sport that I've got to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah, him and Shad. When I saw Shad win 2020, that was full circle for me because he was on our high school team.
Yeah.
And then, makes NFR when he's 18, and then the next year wins the world. It's just, that was one of those things that it's cool. So hopefully very soon I'll be able to see you on that winner's circle in Vegas at the Thomas & Mack.
Hopefully about this time next year.
This time next year? Yeah, we'll be getting ready to go, won't we?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to try to make it out to Vegas this year at all?
Probably not.
No?
I hope all them boys do good, but I really just don't feel like I deserve to go.
I gotcha.
I should. I feel like I don't need to go. Like, there's no reason for me to go unless I deserve to go. You know what I mean?
I understand.
So I might as well just stay home and go to the gym, get on some practice bulls and rodeo, and just get ready to go next year.
I gotcha, man. I think it's important to keep yourself mentally conditioned that way, and I think that's a championship mindset. At least that definitely goes along with a championship mindset. And from sitting here, I wouldn't say that you don't deserve it, right? Because you're talented, and there's been setbacks, but you're still one of the best in the world. And of course, there's a lot of people that go to Vegas every year in the finals that don't rodeo or, have been rodeoing but didn't make the finals anyway. So you have a place there for sure because you're a part of this world.
Yes, sir.
But I totally understand where you're coming from. So, but yeah, I hope to see you there next year. I want to see you on that winner's circle, getting that saddle.
We'll be there.
Yeah, just you, Amy Wilson, and the rest of the rock and roll denim athletes that won a gold buckle that year. All right, brother. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. Probably have to get out of here, and I got to pack up all this podcast stuff. But I wanted to say thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us for a little while and getting this podcast taken care of. And I can't wait to get it up on the website so all your screaming fans can listen to it. And is there anything, I guess this is one of the ways I like to end the podcast. Is there anything that you would say to those little kids, to those little bull riders that want to do the exact same thing that you're doing right now? What would you say to motivate them?
If they want to ride bulls, hit up Cody Custer. He's got some bull riding clinics. He'll keep them on the right kind of stock, stair-step them up to the big bulls. I think he's the best bull riding coach in the world. And just stay motivated, just have a positive mindset, and just keep yourself on the right kind of stock until you're ready to step it up a little bit.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate you, Lukasey. We'll see you down the road, brother.
Yes, sir.